Today's video is going to be about planting those hanging baskets that are outside in the center garden in a budget-friendly, cost-effective way. We're using most of what we've already had here on hand. I'll show you a few tips and tricks for planting those hanging baskets. I'm glad you joined me today. Good morning. Well, I'm sitting out here in the garden. It rained yesterday. I'm not sure how much. I hadn't checked the rain gauge, but I might here. But everything has a good watering. It didn't rain too much, just enough to make everything happy. I'm out here. It's moist. The birds are singing. I'm enjoying this morning. I thought that I would share with y'all what is blooming. I have been really busy. I had to go to the DMV and try to renew my license yesterday. What a hassle. I stayed in line for 2 hours and did not get them renewed. But I'm going to try again. Well, here is the third wave. Actually, the roses and everything was the first, and then we had, well, not the roses, actually the daffodils and the tulips and all the spring things were first. Then we had the roses and the clematis, all of that blooming, and now we're going into the third wave of blooms. Now, I shared with you the ditch lilies right here. Now, some people think these are real weedy, and they're not. They're weedy because I haven't gotten in here and weeded this garden, but these can grow individually just like any daylily, and they're lovely. You can see them right here. I love the beautiful orange color. And the more I use it in the garden, the more I adore it. Here are some flowers of pleurisy root that are my husband's favorite. He loves this pleurisy root. You see it on the side of the road at this time of the year, and we have some in our garden, and it has spread a little bit. The clump is a little bit bigger than it was last year, and we're going to let it spread as much as it can. How lovely it is. Beautiful. And of course it's good for the monarch butterflies. I shook out some zinnia seeds. I used the orange zinnia seeds right here. I had other colors, but I thought I'm just going to keep it right in with the theme and use the orange zinnias. You can see the echinacea. I have to plant those two hanging baskets. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to share that with you, the planting of those two hanging baskets. In here you can see the echinacea. Beautiful, just beautiful. Now, I still have to weed this garden. I have not weeded this garden yet, and that's going to be a task in itself, because not only have the flowers grown and flourished, also the weeds have. You know, I have a hard time defining a weed. I think all plants have uses and have purposes, and I think weed is in the eye of the beholder, just like beauty. A weed can be a beautiful thing. Well, I showed with you and shared with you my Queen Anne's lace. My husband brought me a truckload of Queen Anne's lace from a place that he pulled over, and he just loaded the whole back of the truck, pulled them up by the root, and brought them to me a couple of years ago. And what a beautiful birthday present that was. Of course, that thrilled me to death. I thought it was one of the most wonderful things that I have ever gotten for my birthday, because this is my favorite flower. Yes, it is the Queen Anne's lace. It's getting ready to bloom. There are actually way more blooms on this than I thought. I thought it was just going to be the one, and I was tickled to death because I was going to be able to save the seeds from that one favorite beautiful flower. And the Queen Anne's lace looks particularly lovely with these orange pleurisy root or butterfly weed right here. So they're growing close together. At one time I had this huge and these growing up near in it, and it was beautiful. And I've got a picture of that. I won't be able to find it today, but I will be able to share that with you later. Maybe in a short I'll share it and remind you of it. But I actually have more flower buds coming out on this Queen Anne's lace than I realized. And down here is a little one. So I'm glad to have those, glad to see them come back. I have got to get in here elbow deep and weed out these things that I don't want to grow. The passion flower, the Passiflora incarnata, the famous maypop right here, it is growing up this bed trellis like we once wanted it to do. It is being obedient this year and growing into the trellis. I'm going to have to get out here and separate that a little bit. And look, it's already got some blooms on it down here. It's June, so this will start blooming. If you know anything about the Passiflora incarnata, it's the wonderful medicinal plant. It has calming, soothing effects. I make tea from the blossoms and from the flower leaves, and use that tea, drink that tea, and mix it with other teas, and I really enjoy it. I also make jelly from the fruit of the Passiflora incarnata, the maypop, or the passion flower. It's a wonderful fruit. Enjoy it, thoroughly enjoy it. It's coming up like it should. And then I've got other things. I've got a little passion flower trying to take over the other plants. I've got to get out here with my snippers and cut it back, and now's the time to do it. And this is where I get in a quandary. I sometimes do not have the energy or the time to get out here and handle these things in a timely manner. When you have a small cottage garden like I have that's decades old, and you have plants and things in it that you've loved for years, managing those can sometimes be more laborious than people understand. It can be very, very laborious out here to try to get out here and keep it all in shape. And sometimes I fail, but of course I find beauty in it anyway. Now we have both got out here, Donald and I, and have got this Virginia creeper out of this tree. We don't want it to grow in this tree. He cut some from the bottom yesterday when he mowed the lawn. You can see he mowed the lawn. It looks beautiful. But it's coming back. It's growing. We've got to get in here and handle the Virginia creeper, that's for sure. But I am enjoying this beautiful bounty today. I watched a video, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it was talking about a gardener never sits. And I am changing that in my garden. And what they were saying is you're always so busy in your garden that you never sit down to enjoy it. And of course, I'm not going to let that happen. I am going to enjoy it. I have worked decades in this garden, and I am not going to let it pass me by without enjoying the beautiful, beautiful benefits of it. Now here is the more echinacea here on this side garden. I don't know if I've explained this to you guys before. I'll do it again real short. We've got our small lot divided up. So this over here would be the perennial herb garden, and you may find some flowers growing in that are not perennial, but it's where we have comfrey, rosemary, oregano, and things that come back yearly. That's the perennial herb garden on the side. This is the two mainstays of rosemary that I use right here, and definitely the mainstay of comfrey. And in the past I have been sharing how I have tried to spread some plants out so that if something happens in one area, I still have plenty of herbs in another area. But here we have weeded this, and some weeds have come back. This is goldenrod. We're going to let grow here. I usually have some mullein, but my mullein did not come back. But I have plenty of mullein seeds, so I may just forage my mullein this year, and I'll plant more next year. It's a biennial, so it'll take it 2 years to bloom. But I use more than just the blooms on the mullein, so it's okay no matter what. Now this is what we call the side garden. It is the right-hand side. If you're coming out of our front door, which is right here, this garden would be on your left-hand side. If you were walking up the driveway and the sidewalk, which is right here, it would be the right-hand garden. So it's just a little side garden. We've got the side here that's close to the house. The sidewalk is in the middle of this right side garden, and here is the rest of it. So we've got it right here. And it's got a rock border. This little part over here has a rock border. But we do not have a rock border around the perennial herb garden because we're not sure we're going to leave it right here. We may make some changes in our perennial herb garden. To me, that just looks pretty. Love the rocks. Love the way this garden's formed and the way it is. The hose is out because I had to water plants. It did rain last night. I hadn't had to water them today, but I had to water them yesterday, and I had to run and try to get my license, which I did not get because there was a crowd wrapped around the building. There were so many people there, and that I stayed in that line for 2 hours and it did not move. I don't know. It's just a real problem trying to get your license in this state. Well, here is this side of the garden. You can see there are rocks here. I may play around and do some different things with some rocks, or maybe even get some more, but this is the way it is now. Donald did cut back this lemon balm, and it has already come back out. And of course, it's a prolific grower, so we're going to have a lot of lemon balm. I'm thinking about completely removing it out of this garden because it wants to take over. And I did clear off a lot of weeds, and I'm glad that I did, because there was echinacea that was hiding up under some weeds that is now come to light. Some little echinacea that grows here, and that's what I want. I want to take away what I don't need and leave what I love. Now, I love morning glories. This come from my neighbor's garden. You've probably heard that story before too. She would buy packs of morning glory seeds, the neighbor here to the left of me, and she would grow those. Well, she's since passed, and the birds brought her morning glory seeds over here. So now I have the morning glory seeds, and I have the memory of my neighbor, and I don't have the heart to weed them all out because I think they're beautiful. I probably will find a different way to showcase these morning glories, and so that they're not invading in my other flowers. And I have the salvia right here, which I love. This blue salvia is just really pretty. The hummingbirds love it. I did not put out a hummingbird feeder last year. The feeder's out, but I didn't fill it up because I am focusing on growing live living plants that the hummingbirds love, and these are beautiful. You can see some of them got beat off by the rain. How pretty these are. I love the color. Absolutely love this color. And it's salvia, a type of sage. And the hummingbirds absolutely love it. And of course, I love it too because it's the color of my house. Ta-da! And when this blooms, it looks really pretty from the road. How pretty it is to see this blue that just coordinates with the house. It is big. I am going to have to separate it, and I did not get that rose bush trellised up. I did not find a sturdy enough trellis to put that thing on this year, so it's going another year just being wild in this garden. Unattended in this cottage garden is that beautiful pink heirloom rose, climbing rose, that needs a trellis. So it's one more year that it's not being trellised up, but it was lovely this year. It bloomed. It was beautiful. And here is this salvia. It is huge, and I've got this wild morning glory growing up in it. And beside of it is the echinacea that always grows in this middle garden. This is where my first echinacea garden started. It was right here in the middle garden. Now we've got this side of the garden, and then when you move on over here is the other side of the garden. Now I used to keep it a little more trimmed, a little more prim, but it is in need of some work. These rocks I'm going to have to restack. I dry stack these rocks. They're not, no kind of mortar or any kind of glue or anything are on these rocks, so I can freely stack them whenever I need. This needs to be restacked. I don't know what happened here. I'm thinking it's probably some grandchildren had some fun right there. Here is the lamb's ear swallowed in the spearmint and some other plants. The peonies. The jasmine is growing up that peace rose, and I've got to work with that to kind of separate the jasmine, maybe put it on its own little trellis, or maybe I'll just leave it growing around the rows, and we'll see. It's been doing fine for a few years now. We'll just see how that goes. I did cut back some of those wild roseberries, and I took up some flowers and things here. There was 2 clematises that were on trellises. Here are the trellises. Well, I decided I'm going to move them this year. I took them completely down to the ground. They would have continued to bloom, but I've got to make some changes in this garden right here. And so, of course, that was one of the first things that I did, was take these clematis up. I've got this central old bed rail that I use as a trellis, and I may just plant some clematis where they go on this bed rail. I think that would be beautiful. I've got a Turk's cap lily here, came from Donald's grandma. It's got seeds all over it. We got some more seeds. I'm going to make these a little more prominent, put a little prominent patch in this garden. Now remember the fig that Donald broke, that the ladder accidentally fell on, and I had to get out here and splice it together? Well, I don't think that my splice really worked all that great. Right here at the top, I can still see a big crack, and I cut off this side just to make this hopefully help it a little bit more. It didn't. I probably needed to stake it up. It really hasn't done anything wonderful for it, but these figs are still alive, and there's still figs on the bush. Still got plenty of figs coming, so it's okay. It's going to work out. So I'm going to leave that. Definitely move this fig tree. I don't think this is the best place for it. I've got a peony here, some moss growing in that concrete basket. And this is the fun time of the year for me, as things start blooming and coming along in the garden. It makes me want to do creative things. It makes me want to find creative containers and plant plants in them. And planted containers are always a beautiful addition to the garden. This spearmint is starting to bloom. I like to leave it to bloom for the bees. Wow, they love it. And so I hadn't cut it back. Here's a begonia. It's in a pot. I can certainly move it out from there if I wanted to. I just was trying to create a little beauty going up the steps here. I love to creatively plant containers. There is my suds in a bucket. That's what it's called. It's just dishes that you stick down, and you plant Alyssium. Alyssium is white, kind of low growing plant, and it looks lovely when you plant it around dishes. It looks like a bucket of suds. And I've got dishes down in here. Of course, this is a pretty old one. Some old dishes that had cracks and things in it. And I just stuck them down in here. And then this moss, I didn't have Alyssium on hand, so I thought I'd just use this moss. So it doesn't really have the white flowers. It has little yellow flowers, but it doesn't look as beautiful as it would if I had Alyssium planted in here. I've got this in an old enamel dish pan. You can see there's a crack here. This was just some old china, and it's supposed to look like you're washing dishes, and it's really cute when done right. Mine needs a little bit of work. I need to work on it. But that was the bucket of suds, an old dish pan with some cracked dishes, and I hide the cracks. Like, I put the crack side down so that you don't really see the crack, and it just looks like you're not really misusing any beautiful china or anything, because it's already cracked and you're just finding another use for it, and it's pretty in your garden. I always try to put the containers down so that they don't hold water, because you don't want to invite mosquitoes. And then there's just a little old dishes in here, but it's adorable when done right. And I'm thinking about removing this moss and planting Alyssium so that you can see it done right. I've got this basket, concrete basket. I've got a strawberry pot over here that I usually put herbs in, but my herbs grew out of that strawberry pot. So I don't really have herbs in it now, but I could make use of that in a different way. Some little hens and chicks. That's what these flowers are called. I got them growing there. And over here I have planted the watering can, and I just stuck a impatient in that. It's filling it up nicely. It looks really cute. Now, one thing that really looks cute is if you can find a spiller. Like if I could somehow get a spiller to come out, then it looks like water's pouring out of it. And that's really a really attractive thing to do. But there's such a small little hole right here in this watering can. I won't be able to do it with this. But I do like how it looks. And I'll put that in a different place and showcase that off a little bit. I've been working over here, me and Donald. These are the impatiens. I've got to put some of these impatiens in that wheelbarrow in the back that I shared with you, and I've also got to put some in the hanging basket. I've been busy with the DMV and some other things that had to be taken care of, and hadn't got as much done as I normally do. But of course, that's the way it goes. It gets really, really busy. I've got some things to share a video with you coming up. One will be planting these hanging baskets, which I hope to get done today. I'll have to take some of that Virginia creeper down. That's coming up, and get those 2 baskets. I'm going to go in here and put my boots on. Got my sweet little helper right here that wants to go outside with me. Let me get my gardening boots on. Such a beautiful, beautiful day, full of wonderful possibilities this morning. What a wonderful day to be out in the garden. What a wonderful day to get to play around out here and check on all these plants, see what we can get growing. Now, I've got this morning glory. I had never saw anything like it, and I'm excited to see this bloom. I'm going to put these in hanging baskets. Hopefully I can maintain it and manage it better being in these hanging baskets than I can if I've got them in something else. I'm going to move some of this stuff that I got around right here. I've got a lot of seed trays up here. It's just a lot going on. I've got to corral it all in. I had to take a minute and set the seed trays off so that I could get the hanging baskets over here and we can get them potted up. Now, I don't know which would be the best way for me to go in, through the jungle part right here or through the other side. I'm just going to hike right in through here. I'm going to try not to step on anything, but I can't see what anything is, so we're just going to go ahead and chance it. I need to take a minute and go ahead and get rid of some of these weeds. So many pretty things growing in here. Okay, I don't want to step on any little plants. I don't want to destroy anything. So I'm working my way in here to get these hanging baskets so I could plant them. Now this would be good to have a helper that I could just hand these off to. But I don't have a helper out here today. So I've got to reach and get them myself. Oh, got one of them. Yay! There's some sea roses growing in there. And there's some wild raspberry. Isn't that hilarious? We got some wild raspberry growing in our hanging basket. All this came back from last year on its own. Probably happened is a bird got one of these raspberry seeds, had an enjoyable snack. You can see they've already got to all of them. Me and Donald got a handful. I'll try to save Stormy some. She'll be here today maybe, and she'll be picking some. But I think what I'm going to do is take this little raspberry out and put it in a seed in case one of my friends wants some raspberries. Okay, let's hike back over here and try to get the other one. I'm going to try. I got tickled at one of my YouTubers that I love to watch. Her name is Pretty Little Garden. That's the name of her channel. And when she was cleaning out her box, window box, she took the soil from that weed and she was just getting it out. She was getting her good soil out so that she wasn't throwing away none of the good stuff. And I thought, oh, a gardener after my own heart. I do the same thing because that soil is precious. Well, I am going to work my way back in here in my same footsteps, and I can see there's one kind of leaning over right there, and that's what I don't want to crush anything that's growing. And I'm going to go over here and get this other hanging basket. I may trim this back at the top, and I may just let it grow because it'll help shade these hanging baskets. They're out here in the full sun. And look at this, those sea roses, we call them sea roses. I'm not sure what they are. I think I gave you the proper name of them one year. Look at these things, all in this basket. Okay, now let me see if I can get over here close enough to it to lift it off with one hand. Okay, I got it. Woo-hoo! So I got the 2 baskets. Here it is. We'll get over here. I hope I didn't stomp on too much. Trying not to. Tear it down. Okay. Now I should take these down every year, clean them out and put them up and get them ready to use next year. That would be the proper thing to do. But you know, sometimes you can't do that. And if you wait until you've got all the time in the world to do it, it's just like raising children. You'll never do it. Sometimes you just got to jump in there, nitty-gritty all, and get it done. So I left these out all year. And by leaving these out, I'm going to scoot this basil back. I want to take this basil in the house. It's beautiful. And I want to put it near the kitchen. But I don't really have a good sunny spot for it yet. So it's out here to stay until I can get some of this other stuff done. Got this Passiflora Carilla growing over here. And I'm going to have to get out here and maintain it. And got a neighbor's pin oak. There's several of these out here I've got to cut down to the ground. Trying to latch on to the basil. Oh, it smells so good. That basil smells delicious. So the basil's just going to stay here with us while we get this done. I'm going to have to go in and get my tripod and a drink of my tea. And then we'll continue. I'm going to empty these out. And we're going to repot these today. And put some beautiful things in these hanging baskets and use them out here in the fronts in our garden. I had to take the boots off to come in here and get my tripod, and look, Picky's just in here laying back, enjoying himself on the steps. He's taking a bath. Well, I am going to go ahead and get this tripod and everything out and get out here and share some things with you. Okay, it took me a few minutes to run in and get the tripod and get everything set up so I can show you what I'm doing in a way that you can see it. That's why artists have studios, because when they get a burst of creative energy, if they just go to their studio, they're able to put all of their energy into their art. Well, when you're a creative artist or a content creator, you have a burst of energy to share. You want to share things with your audience. I want to share these things with you. And if I have to take 15, 20 minutes to drag out a lot of stuff, in this case I had to go get the tripod and my phone charger. My phone is about to die. And so I was like, oh gosh, it's draining my creative energy. But I want to take a minute and get that back. Just be out here for a minute and enjoy my surroundings and get my creative energy back so I can share some of these good ideas with you, some tips that you might want to use if you're replanting your baskets. Now you can buy baskets already planted, and the thing about that is you're getting somebody else's choices, and if that's okay, because there are certain things that are certainly worth investigating. They're worth appreciating other people's ideas and seeing that they work well. People that has done it for a really long time probably have some ideas that people that haven't done it a long time hadn't thought about, you know. So it's great to buy baskets already made if that's what you want to do. They're sometimes a lot more expensive. I just like the creativity to be able to put together what I like and what does well here at my house. And if you like to do that too, then you can just get you some of these baskets, and now they sell them new. I've recycled these. I'm probably thinking it's probably 5 years I've used these hanging baskets now. And I just recycle the ones that I have until I can't do it anymore. So I make reuse these. That's a budget-friendly tip. You know, my channel is about lifestyle, which I'm an Appalachian from the Appalachian Mountains, and that's our lifestyle. Budget-friendly. I always try to keep things on a budget so that anybody can do it. Home and garden, and it relates to things in the home and in the garden, and especially you'll find a lot of things about the garden this time of the year because it's gardening season. It's time to get all this done. Well, I'm going to go over in here and see if I bought any liners, see if I got any extra liners here. I think I picked up 2 when I saw them because I knew I'd be redoing this. Now I can use these liners that's in here. They look perfectly okay for another year, but I've got these plants in here that I'm wanting to save. And I may just lift the whole liner and everything out. I'm going to go down and see if I've got any more liners. And if I have, I'll be using the new ones. And if I hadn't, we'll be reusing these. I did not find any liners, so I'll be reusing what I have here. I'll just be lifting out some of these plants. I'll be adding a little bit of soil and this reusable little pot that I've got right here, and I'm just going to plug this right down in it, and I'll keep this watered and probably give this to a friend, and they'll have some red raspberry bushes. Now I've got this sea rose right here. I may go ahead and reuse this in a hanging basket or another pot. So I'm going to set that aside. And now we've got down to our soil and our cork coconut basket right here. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this soil into another container. I'm just going to repurpose this box that I've had out here. And then just dump this basket right into it. You can see the core liner has stayed in there, and it looks perfectly good on the outside. I mean on the inside. On the outside it's aged a little bit because you know it's hanging out here all year. So this core liner will be perfectly usable. We can reuse it with no problem. And of course we'll save the soil. We'll save the soil because you don't get rid of soil. Here's the old diaper that I put in, the old liner. I'll show you that trick that I've used for years that really helps when you want to keep your plants alive in your hanging baskets. Just going to loosen this up a little bit because we'll be using it. Now you certainly know that this has been in all year, so it probably needs a little bit of fertilizer. Now's a good time to go ahead and add that. I like to use this Osmocote. It's perfectly good for these hanging baskets. I just follow the recommended dosage. The recommended measured amount on the back of the package. Now we got it here ready to go. Make sure there's no bugs or nothing that you don't want in your hanging basket. I don't see anything here. Just looks like good soil that needed some plant food, and we're ready to go ahead and get with it. Now you can set this hanging basket on something if that helps. Sometimes just putting it on a bowl will kind of keep it level. See, it's got a rounded bottom, and if you don't even that out, it's got a little bit of a flat area, but it may not hold and sit like you want it to. But just using a bowl helps with that. Helps keep it from rolling around on you. I just leave the hooks on. They do unhook right here, so you could take them off if you wanted to, but it's no problem. I can just hang it over to the side like this and go ahead and get it started. Now I've got my plants. I'm going to share them with you. Now I have a rule when I make these hanging baskets. When I select the plants for the hanging baskets, and I'll share that with you here in just a minute. Now I've got a, you can use a diaper, you can use whatever disposable underwear or undergarment that you want to put in here, and I'll show you why I do that. Now I sometimes get these at the thrift store. Our thrift store will share unopened garments like this for anybody that needs them, and I pick up some for a loved one. And then if there's some that won't fit her or that I can't use, I'll just save them to put into the bottom of the plants. Usually they're the ones that have the tabs on them, you know, like, that are kind of like a diaper. I'll take those and put them in here. But anything will work. A diaper, one of the undergarments, you know, disposable undergarment. I just line the bottom of the hanging basket with it. And the reason that I do that is this coconut core liner is very, very porous. And you want it to be porous because, you know, you want it to be able to breathe and the water to drain out of it. So it's doing its job, what you bought it for, what you want it to do. But when you put it out into a sunny area like I'm going to put in this garden that I have out here, the garbage truck's going to come by, so it might be loud. That'll be what you're hearing. Garbage pickup. It's loud, but much needed. Okay, I think it's far away enough now that it won't interfere with our video. I was sharing with you putting this liner in a, you know, inside of the hanging basket that has a coconut liner. So I'm going to go ahead and think about my plants that I've got. Now these I've let get a little bit leggy on me. I didn't quite get out here in time. These impatiens, they're a little bit stringy, but they'll be fine for these purposes. If you've watched my channel, you know that I love to have a thriller, a spiller, and a filler. So we got a thriller, spiller, and a filler. So that's what I use with these plants. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of soil in here. To put them right down on. Make a nice little bed for them to fit right down in. Now I've chose this periwinkle for my spiller. So I'm going to go ahead and add my spiller first. I got this from Lowe's. It was $2.98. We've had it for a couple of weeks. It's lived nicely in this pot. You can see it's got a lot of roots. So I'm just going to take a minute, take these scissors, just kind of cut these roots up a little bit. Because if I don't do that, they'll just keep winding themselves around this circle or the square that the pot was in. You can see they've just wound around the outside. So I'm going to cut those roots just a little bit and put it right down here in this hanging basket. And you can see it's spilling out. This is periwinkle. It can be invasive, so I usually just put it in pots now. I do have some that I plant that got out of a pot long ago, and I have an area where I have it, but it's kind of contained. So you want to be careful about what you choose to go in your pot. This is going to stay in here. It's going to be okay. Now I'm using this impatiens as a filler, because impatiens get pretty big. They get about the size of a basketball if planted in a garden, and they do a nice job of filling your pot. This one is an orange impatient. You know, I've shared with you that I've got a tendency of turning towards orange here lately. And it's got the info on the back. It's just a normal impatient, not hard to grow. So I'm going to put 3 of these in here, and I think they'll be happy to get in here. These are also pretty root bound in those little starter pots. Well, I think I got room for one more. I think the whole little 4-pack is going to fit in there, so I believe I'll just go ahead and put it in. Now these have had a lot of rain. They've been watered well. In fact, some of them looking a little waterlogged. Like right here, you can tell these leaves is like a little bit too much water. You can certainly clean those up as you go along. So now I got it, it's all the way around here. Now for my thriller, I'm going to use this coleus, then put it here in the middle. I absolutely love coleus. Now they usually drink a lot of water, and I don't usually put them in full sun, but sometimes I try them out here in this hanging basket. And another thriller my sweet sister got me for Mother's Day is these beautiful petunias. Now I've had these for a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and take off the dead heads of them, and they will definitely bloom again. So I'm just going to cut off the dead heads there, and let's see how many of these I can fit in. And these are the Valentine petunia. They're double, really beautiful. I've really enjoyed this Mother's Day gift from my sister. I'm going to add these right in here. And I think it looks like I may be able to get 3 of them in here. And I love petunias because they really do handle the sun well. They'll hold up out there in that bright sun and make a beautiful hanging basket. I'm going to go ahead and add my soil in between here. You can see everything's just sitting in there. It's not yet planted. So looking, we see right there that we've got enough space around everything. We've got all of this looking the way we want it to look in here. The placement of our plants is what we want. We've got our thriller. We've got 2 thrillers in this case right here in the middle. Our petunia and our coleus. I picked the coleus because of this rusty orange color. I think it'll be beautiful in here. We've got our impatiens, they're orange. And now we're just filling up in between. So we'll take our soil that we've added food to, and we'll just put it around in between each plant. And we water this, all of it'll turn out good. It's looking a little skimpy right now, but remember, these plants will fill out. When you give them everything they need, enough nutrients, enough soil and water, these things will fill out, and this will make a full basket. We have a tendency to want to overfill it when we first plant it. And a budget-friendly tip is to go ahead and just put what you think will fill it up when the plants are at maturity. It won't be long for these plants to mature. That way you can spread your love a little bit, the love of your plant. You can spread it around. Now I'm going to have 2 hands. I could lift the empty basket with one hand, or the one that didn't have plants. But for this basket, I'm going to have to take 2 hands and go out there and hang this basket up. And then I'll share with you it hanging up. Go ahead and give this little plant everything that it needs. This little basket. I'm going to water it probably before I hang it up. Here is the little Irish roses. We call them moss roses. I'm not sure what they are. I'm going to lift these out. They've got little roots on them. They'll be great planted somewhere else. Look at that little one. So I'm just going to lift these out and replant them in other places. Recycle them. By no means am I going to throw these away. These are valuable plants. These are plants you would be spending money on if you went to the nursery. And you can just go ahead and reuse them. It'll just take a minute to get these dipped out. That looks like an impatient that probably came back from last year. Now I can put these in another pot. They would be lovely around a taller plant. Maybe just a pot, not a hanging basket. But I'm going to take these out and plan to reuse them someplace else. And we're going to make good use of our materials, what we have on hand. We're not going to waste. We're not going to waste these little plants. They'll be beautiful in another basket. And that's how you sometimes see people with an abundant amount of plants, and they tell you they don't have a lot invested in their garden, and you're like, how can that be? Look at all those plants. Well, you learn to conserve. You learn what plants will come back and what to keep. Here's that good coconut core. Looks a little weathered on the outside, but looks perfectly good on the inside to reuse for another year. Here is the liner. Last year's liner that I put in, which is just a disposable diaper or a disposable, pants, underpants, or whatever, briefs used in here. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing we did with the other hanging basket. We'll choose what we're going to put in here. We'll choose our plants. I have a container of impatiens. Here we could decide whether we want things to be the exact same way. We could have symmetry on each side of this little hanging basket hanger that we have, and we could do it the exact same way, or we could do it a little different. We can maybe change it up a little bit and have a little bit of difference on each side. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do it the exact same way. That's what I feel like would be the best for that little area out there, is for it to be the same, since they're not real big baskets. And so we're going to kind of use the same things. I only have one petunia left. I have plenty of coleus. We could change it up. We could do the same coleus here, the rust-colored coleus, or we could change it up and do this. Isn't this coleus beautiful? Oh my gosh, I love coleus anyway, but this one right here, look at the colors on that. What a beautiful leaf on a plant. Absolutely gorgeous. I think I'm going to choose that one for the thriller. So maybe it's not going to be symmetrical. Maybe it'll be a little bit different. I'll go ahead and get my spiller. I'll use the same same spiller as I used with the other one, and it's a variegated periwinkle. Ground cover, you can get them at Lowe's. I got these at Lowe's. And remember, they can be invasive, so you want to control where you put them. Go ahead and get it out of there. And loosen up those little roots. Now this one's not near as bad root bound as the other one was. It looks like it's going to be okay, but I'm going to give it just a little cut for good measure. If you don't cut it, these things will just wrap themselves around in the same pattern. Even though the pot is not there anymore, they're already growing in this pattern. You give it a little cut, you just kind of encourage them to go another way. So that's why I do that. So we'll put this spiller right here. I think I'll just put it on this side. You let it spill over the edge. Then I'm going to add the thriller. I've got this pretty coleus, and I've got that really pretty little petunia that's left. I just have one, but it might be quite enough. We'll see. And then go ahead and put the impatiens in. They're not so bound that I have to cut these. See, they have plenty of room. Probably not as old as the other ones that are more root bound in those little starter pots. So I'm going to get these right in. I'll put the impatiens, which I'm using as a filler at this time, around the edge. The one spiller over there. Go ahead and get these filled in with that soil, just like we did the other hanging basket. Now, if you find yourself needing more soil than what you had, it seems like this basket's going to take a little bit more soil. I'm not sure why it turns out that way. You think, well, the baskets are the same size, right? But maybe there wasn't as much soil in there. Maybe there was more plant matter than soil the last time somebody planted it. So if you find yourself in that situation, just add you some soil to it. And you can see what I'm talking about. It doesn't look like there's as much soil in this one as there was in the other one. Maybe it is, and it just is misleading. But I'm going to go ahead and add some food to this one, the Osmocote. And I'm going to mix it up with my trowel and put it in here. I've decided to go ahead and add this little sea rose back into here, since it did so well out there and I didn't have as many petunias. I'm going to go ahead and add that little sea rose back to it. Just adding some Osmocote, some flower food. Loosening up the same soil and doing just like we did with the other one, just planting these plants on in here. They've got to be out here all season, so I want them to have plenty of soil to grow in. Plenty of soil to fill out the basket with. Now I place these in here so that there'll be gracious plenty room to grow. Some people like everything to be instantly full, so they'll just stuff the plants in here just as full as they can. That's a preference. If you would like to make your basket bigger, you know, more full, then you can stuff however many plants you want in here. I have a tendency to just go full and give everything enough room to grow. Well, I didn't have to use any extra soil. It looks like there was enough in there to plant everything that needed to be planted. Pretty, pretty. Already loving it. Already loving the flower combinations, the colors. Just working the soil in there around. So that it'll have what it needs. That little liner that we put in there will help retain some of the moisture. Alright, I'm going to go out here and hang it up. I went ahead and pulled the water hose out here and went ahead and gave these plenty of water. You can see they've got just a little bit of shock from where I've transferred them, from where I've handled them, especially those impatiens. I'm going to walk around and show you the front of it. You can see the spiller hanging down. That will continue to grow and hang down the side of the basket and look really pretty. The impatiens will fill in. The coleus will be bright and beautiful. The petunia will be a beautiful, it'll fill out and bloom some more. And these will look more beautiful as the time goes on. This is the beginning of the season. I will show them to you as it goes by. I probably will have to get out here and water them, even with a lot of the rain that we have. The way these hangers hang up in our hot sun, our hot bearing down sun, and the temperatures we have where we're at in our climate, I'll have to water the hanging baskets just like I have to water the potted plants, and I won't mind doing that at all. But that's how they turned out. They're looking gorgeous. Of course, on the other side, I'm showing you the road from I'm showing you the view from the road because that's where I put the spillers. I thought that's where it would have the most impact and be the most beautiful to be seen from the road. However, they'll be just as beautiful from this side. This is from the house, and you can see there they are. They'll be full. They'll have a variety of different flowers than what I have down in the garden that's up under them, and they'll be beautiful. This is a cost-effective, budget-friendly way to plant your hanging baskets. I reused those baskets that I've had for several years. The core was perfectly fine. The frame was perfectly fine. I did spray paint the frame last year, the little basket wire frame. It allowed it to last longer, and so it was great to use for another year. So these were cost effective, and they'll be beautiful. When they fill out and I share them with you, you'll be amazed. And we used what we had on hand, and we used flowers that we had picked out beforehand, and so it'll be a beautiful, budget-friendly way to add to your garden. Thank you for joining me today. Let me share this with you. And like always, until next time.